All right, Twitch. Welcome in. Got 2 minutes until the radio starts, so let's hang in there. Chris, en route. JP, maybe. Let's see. Thanks for joining.
It's that time, Central Coast. Time for the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. Your only late-night source for sports and entertainment with a local touch. Now, here are your hosts, Alex Klupper.
Okay. Welcome in, everyone, to the Slow Late Show here on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. 101.7 FM in the North County, twitch.tv/slowlate, SLOLATE. Alex Klupper here for you. Chris Sylvester en route. He just watched his beloved Miami Heat lose in overtime. Tyler Hero ball not enough as Russell Westbrook and company downed the Heat on ESPN, so he will be heading over in just a moment. JP Hirioka, we'll see if he joins us as well. But we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Missed you last week. A few of us were sick and dealing with different ailments. So we got to supersize this show, and we're going to do that. We're going to have a lot of fun. So a lot of stuff that has happened in the sports world. We had a World Series champion crowned, I guess, last Tuesday. So 8 days ago. It feels like maybe a month ago. Maybe it's the fact that I'm getting older. I'm going to be 32 in 2 weeks, or it's COVID and just 2021, but it feels like time flies by. And, Freddie Freeman, now a free agent after winning a title for the Atlanta Braves. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves, and good job. Good job for beating the Houston Astros. Thank God. We have the start of college basketball. College basketball started in earnest last night. A bunch of exhibition matches before that, but the real matches started going last night. Cal Poly picking up a win against an NAIA opponent. Coach Smith was on the CJ Silas show earlier, so that was good, supporting the local shows and the local sports. We'll talk about that, especially when Chris comes in. He has some things to say about what happened last night. So he was there calling it. So we'll talk about that with him. UFC, big UFC card this past weekend, UFC 268, couple title fights, and maybe the fight of the year between Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. We'll break that down. We'll break down what is going to happen this weekend at UFC Fight Night, Holloway versus Rodriguez. And of course, the NBA, a lot of surprises. I feel like every week that that we're on the air, we talk about, our early predictions, our what we think is going to happen are way too early. This is set in stone, and I feel like it changes every week. So maybe we shouldn't be so confident about these things, but hey, it's sports talk radio. That's what you have to do, right? So we're going to talk about the game that we just watched, the Lakers and Heat. We'll talk about the Kings and the Spurs. If JP joins us, we'll definitely talk about that. But there's also some grumblings around the league. We had a Nikola Jokic suspension that he served tonight. We'll talk about his little fracas with the Morris, the whole Morris family now. The Celtics had their inner turmoil. Marvin Bagley III, speaking of the Kings, he decided not to come in the game on Sunday. So a lot of things, a lot of drama going on in the NBA. We'll talk about that. And also shout out some guys for just balling out. A lot of guys bringing their games to a new level or going back to a level that we thought they might not hit it ever again. And then the NFL, Odell Beckham Jr., he is now a free agent. Where is he going to go? I don't know. We may talk about that. We haven't really talked about the NFL that much. And if you notice, I mean, it's not exactly by design, but that's what you hear mostly from sports talk. It's 95% NFL, 3% NBA. When the World Series is going, they'll add that 2% there. The 2%, sometimes it'll just go talking about the hosts' personal lives and whatnot. We feel like we need to expand the horizons. Now, Chris and I, we both agree that college football is the mightiest football in the land, and it's just way more exciting. And if you don't know why, maybe we'll reiterate that again tonight, but I feel like we've given you plenty of reasons as to why that is. But I do want to start on the NFL, and I think I narrowed down why it is that we don't talk about the NFL as much here in the Slow Late Show, why the NFL seems, I don't know, kind of tame in comparison to all the other sports that I love dearly. Now, to be open, my top three sports, and this switches, it changes, it's ever shifting, but the top three are definitely set in stone. They just have different rankings depending on the day. It's going to be college football, mixed martial arts, and the NBA. I think those three are maybe not head and shoulders above the rest, but they are definitely the top three. Now, all three of those sports have a certain something that the NFL is missing. And that certain something, I don't know whether you want to call it parody. I don't think it's parody. I think the thing that they have is fun. The NFL, I mean, they have the acronym NFL, and people have joked about it's the no fun league and whatnot. That probably grew tired about 8 years ago. But you look at the way the league has responded to taunting. It's not even like taunting. Almost seems like it's a dirty word now. The Roger Goodell and the competition committee saying, "Oh well, we want to cut down on taunting when this league is better than that." It seems like they are trying to add a very harsh qualifier to the word taunting. When am I mistaken in that? Like 2-3 years ago, there was a lot of NFL commercials where not even just showing NFL players, but they always show like Pee Wee football players and high school football players, and they always do this in the Under Armour commercials. But these guys are always taunting. These guys, whether they're kids or grown men, if they're shown in a football commercial, they're going to do a good play and then they're going to taunt because they want to show the younger audience, and that's what advertising is for, to get the young audience to buy things or get their parents to buy things for them, is to think, oh, this is cool. If they just do a touchdown, they do the greatest catch ever. They do the Odell Beckham Jr. catch, the famous one in 2016. He does that catch in a commercial, and then he just hands the ball to the referee. Is that the thing that is going to get young kids to buy your product? No, of course not. Advertisers know this. Even the NFL's advertising knows this. And yet the NFL has decided this season that what they need to do is cut down on the fun, cut down on the joy that the NFL brings. And this is not just a taunting rant, although it's turned into that so far, because it is so asinine that this has become a thing. It cost the team a game this past week. It's just ridiculous. But to further that point, the NFL, and it again goes to the way it markets itself. It is so dependent on the shield and this tough guy image and this deference to authority that is so just not with 2021. I don't know how you can go through whatever you want to say, the last 10 years, 5 years, 8 years in this country, in the world, and say that people have a lot of trust in authority, whether that's, one side of the aisle or the other side of the aisle. A lot of people right now feel like they can't trust things and they can't trust authority, and they take decisions in their own hands. Why does the NFL think that what the audience of the NFL wants is for head coaches and league officials and the competition committee to say, you know what, let's rein in individuality. Let's make sure we have these very strict rules in place, and we promote the shield and we don't promote individualism. And to me, sports, sports is fun. How is that adding to the fun of sports? To counterbalance this, to show an opposing example, college football. Now, the game is different because there are college players, there are young people, they make mistakes, and making mistakes makes games fun. There's big swings of momentum, big exciting things can happen that you don't expect. I mean, just look at Maction. Look how popular Maction is. It has become a catchword for the sporting landscape as to a fun time on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, look at the Maction games tonight. They just put up scores all over the place. Upsets galore. The NFL, if Patrick Mahomes struggles, if he threw the pass that the LSU quarterback threw earlier this year, where he threw behind his back left-handed, for the LSU quarterback, it was a hilarious moment. Now, it was a learning moment for him, for sure, and Coach Ed Orgeron may think that's not exactly the funniest moment ever. He almost threw an interception. If you have not seen that play, please look it up. If Patrick Mahomes does that play, that is the hub of sports talk chatter for the entire week. They're going to talk about, he's disrespecting the team, and Andy Reid, how can he let this happen? And he needs to grow up, and the MVP went to his head, and he lost the Super Bowl. Is he a loser now? It is such almost a farce that the NFL is taken as this extremely serious endeavor. And now, one of the things I like about Sundays is I watched Red Zone Channel, and Scott Hansen, bless his heart, he's the GOAT. Scott Hansen, he brings some levity to it. He brings some fun. He definitely points out some of the funnier things that's happened in the games, and maybe just the attention span. But Red Zone is definitely the preferable product now to watching whole games with all the commercial breaks and whatnot. But I can't just wrap my mind around why the NFL decides that having individuality and having fun and promoting those things and not, trying to shut them down is the way to go. And I think, football is obviously going to be the preeminent sport in the country. I think until, whatever sports are no longer a part of the culture, which I don't think will ever happen. But I think they can learn a thing or two from the NBA, from college football, from MMA. I mean, even MMA, which is a total disorganized mess. Even the UFC. I mean, Dana White, he kind of tries to do the same thing with the UFC and try to make the UFC the brand. But MMA is so wacky in its characters and the just crazy stories that it's entertaining even when it doesn't try to be. And, the part that the NFL is missing from that is, not exactly the NFL's fault, but even weird, funny things. It's the NFL, someone does this in the NFL and it's kind of goofy, and or another sport we'd be laughing about it, but the NFL, it's like, character concerns now, I don't know if he's serious about playing ball. We gotta make sure and talk to Bill Belichick and make sure he understands the severity of his transgressions. That's the attitude that I don't like from the NFL. It is all about this, central authority of follow the brand of the shield, and it's very tiresome. So NFL, we're talking about that. I'm not sure, but we may get back to the NFL later tonight here on the Slow Late Show. Alex Klepper, Chris Sylvester en route, watching the highlights of the game that he stayed home for, the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers, but he will be here soon. Also, special shout out to Sita. Sita is Chris's Chewini mix, and it's her birthday today. I think she's 5 or 6, so happy birthday, Pasita. So we may talk NFL, but we're definitely going to be talking college hoops, college basketball, or college hoops, yes, college football, UFC, the NBA. This is the Slow Late Show. ESPN Radio 1280, 101.7 FM, twitch.tv/slowlate. We would love to hear from you on Twitch. You can join there and chat. We have someone saying grumblings. They like that word choice, so thank you for that. And also via the Slow Late Show phone line, 805-595-3776. That's 805-595-ESPN. Call in, talk to me, talk to Chris when he gets here. We want to talk NBA, NFL, your take on what I just talked about, the weekend in college football, thoughts on UFC 268 and what happened there. All is welcome. So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, let's preview a big weekend of college football after letting loose from that rant about the NFL. I feel lighter. I don't know about you. It's our first November show. Missed last week. Let's talk some beautiful college football when we come back. Alex Klepper, Slow Late Show. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Even if they hit me on sight, everything gon' be alright. Everybody have a good night. We gon' make it to the daylight. It's ironic how it's crowds in the bucket, but I'm...
This is the Mechanics Bank Cal Poly Report on ESPN Radio 1280 and 101.7 FM, your ticket to Cal Poly Athletics. Mustangs football closed out their 2021 road schedule by visiting Big Sky leading Sac State on Saturday, losing to the Hornets 41-9, their 8th consecutive loss following their season opening W. Poly responded to the hosts' 14-0 lead after one with a safety, the Green and Gold's first in 11 years, and a touchdown to cut the deficit to 5, but the Hornets scored the game's final 27 points to end at the final margin. The Mustangs host Idaho State in Northern Arizona the next 2 Saturdays to close out the season. Women's soccer beat Cal State Fullerton 2-0 in Thursday's Big West Tourney semifinal to secure their first championship game appearance since 2009, where they fell to top-seeded UC Irvine 1-0 on Sunday. Sophomore Nikki Trucco led the Mustangs with 10 goals in the season, while junior Brooke Rubenstein had a team-best 8 assists, and freshman goalkeeper Mackenzie Samuel produced 4 clean sheets in 8 games. And men's soccer saw their season end in the Big West Tournament opening round, falling to UC Riverside 1-0 inside Spanos on Wednesday.
At Mechanics Bank, we know that today's good sport is tomorrow's good citizen. We believe the lessons of sports, discipline, teamwork, and respect for others not only make better kids today, but better adults, better citizens, and better communities tomorrow. That's why we're proud to support the Cal Poly Mustangs and youth sports organizations throughout the Central Coast. Stop by any of our local branches or visit us online at mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Now, back to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Welcome back to the Slow Late Show here on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket, 101.7 FM in the North County, twitch.tv/slowlate. Join us there. You can chat with us, say hi, do those type of things. Also, you can call in 805-595-3776, 805-595-ESPN. Alex Klepper, Chris Sylvester, speeding his way over here. Not too fast. Maybe like 2-3 miles over the speed limit. Perfect amount. All right. So college football, second iteration of the college football playoff rankings came out. And, you know, I don't know. It's a strange predicament. I will say that. Georgia, the obvious clear number one. They're 9-0. They have absolutely demolished everyone in sight. The SEC is trembling in its wake. Alabama coming in at number 2. They had that close loss to Texas A&M a few weeks ago, sticking in at number 2. Now, Oregon is number 3 at 8-1. They moved up one spot after Michigan State lost to Purdue this past weekend. So Oregon comes in at 3. And this is where things get really sticky. And this is one of the good parts of college football on one hand, and on the other hand, it's the dirty part of it where you're relying on a cadre of people to vote on something that have maybe not the most pure intentions. Maybe they're thinking about the TV ad revenue for getting someone like Oklahoma in there, or Ohio State or Oregon instead of Cincinnati. And if you've watched Oregon this year, besides the Ohio State game, they have not been impressive whatsoever. And they won by 10 against a really lackluster Washington team this past weekend. Big rushing performance from the Ducks. But they keep pulling away late. And pulling away is a relative term. They're not blowing teams out. They are struggling, those Ducks. And Chris Sylvester entering the studio to a round of applause. Oh, he's wearing his Heat sweatshirt, and he's crying. His tears are full. And Chris is pointing at the wrong camera. We have a camera over here. We got a camera over here. If you want to see us live, twitch.tv/slowlate. Now, Chris, I know we had a little bit of a celebration earlier for Pasita, but then a kind of a mourning for the Heat loss.
Yeah. Abused is a word that doesn't need to be used when it comes to this. But the way I watched the last 7 minutes of regulation, Miami's up 8. Looks like the Lakers are done. Kick it into cruise control. One thing leads to another, and that was a tough loss for the Heatles.
I feel like when Russ pulled up for that 3 at the end of regulation, I thought that's it. That not that the Lakers were going to win, but that the Heat were going to win because it was going to go to OT, and Russ is going to try to hero ball.
Bam in foul trouble,
yeah.
hero balling, and that wasn't the problem. The problem was Kyle Lowry thinking that he should have been taking those shots.
No, he shot like 3 or 4 shots of the last like 5 or 6.
Miami doesn't need Kyle Lowry to score.
No.
It's need him to facilitate.
Play some D.
He's such an upgrade over Dragic. But anyway, it's late.
It is.
And we're back.
We're back. We
baby. Are back like we never left.
That's right.
And we took a minor hiatus last week.
Yeah. Heal up.
To allow our bosses at corporate ESPN, they wanted the nationally syndicated stuff to reach the Wednesday night audience. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't know where we are in California, by the way, I spent the last week in Texas, and
I can tell in your voice it's got a little twang to it tonight.
I know. I was fearful of that. Not that it's a bad thing, but I by the way, I did finally ask them, does it sound like I have some sort of California accent, like West Coast thing? And they're like, no, I feel like you guys are like the one region of the country where they don't have something off about the way you talk.
Unless you surf, and then you get a certain affect.
I had the last year, like since COVID hit, I've been taking trips, out of state per usual, but I've been getting a lot more heat from being from California. California's got this weird rap around the country, like whether it's political or cost of living or overpopulated, whatever. I think the cost of gas here is absurd. The cost of living is up there too. But you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. Oh, yeah. And I had, there had been times in the last year where I had gone out of state and someone gave me some sort of crap about California. I'd be like, yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. This time I stood up for my state this time. I was like, look, all due respect to where you live in the state of Texas, I think you'd like my little San Luis Obispo better. This all circles back to the point that our bosses at corporate ESPN wanted us to take a breather last Wednesday night to allow the local Wednesday night radio audience to hear a little bit of nationally syndicated programming. Because we're in the midst of LA and San Francisco, we have a late night trucker crowd that
that's
rolls
right.
through here
Yep.
only on Wednesdays between 10 and midnight. That's not to say that large trucker crowd isn't the majority of our fan base locally. Locally, I know we've taken
kings.
things national with
We're
Twitch,
kings, yeah.
but locally, we're back, and they couldn't. I mean, they enjoyed branching out a little bit to hear the nationally syndicated stuff,
Yeah.
but I mean, they're sitting a little more comfy. I mean, you sit up and drive with those high wheels for 10 hours, right? Isn't there some restriction? You can only go 10 hours or so?
Yeah, I don't know if they follow that all the time.
Anyway, it's great to be back.
Yeah, no, I got an email from Jimmy Pitaro, president of ESPN, on last Wednesday about 5:00. He's like, "Hey boys, LOL."
Yeah, he does. He's a big LOL
yeah,
guy.
He's a big LOL guy. Let's give some of the other guys a chance. LMAO. So I'm like, hey Jimmy, since you write the checks, I guess we'll follow through. But yeah, we're back. Chris, I talked. I don't know if you heard, but I kind of was raining down on the NFL and the brand. We don't want to talk about that, but I compared it less favorably to our shining child of the sports landscape, which is college football. As you were walking in, I was talking a little bit of the college football rankings. Where do you sit on that? I know Georgia is a monster. They are an absolute force of nature defensively, and their offense is good enough where they can still win by 40, even if they're not doing much. I know it seems tough because there's a lot of one-loss teams. There's Cincinnati in there. Cincinnati just barely beat Tulsa. But I feel like you got to give Cincinnati. You got to give them a slot. Like this is if you're ever going to have a 4-team playoff with a non-power 5 team in it, this is the year, and they seem to be shying away from it.
Well, I look at it a couple ways, and I don't think on this program we've been shy in expressing our utmost affection towards mid-major, non-power 5 conference teams. I mean, we love it. We love the UMBCs. We love Navy going to Virginia and knocking them off like they did last night. But Cincy, their resume against Oklahoma.
That's the thing. I think
that's a very close resume. Like, I think Cincy has the better win at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma has also sustained against a tougher strength of schedule. Now, I'm not excusing Oklahoma barely escaping against Tulane. Look how bad Tulane wound up being. Mm-hmm. We love the overreactions, the way too early takes, right?
Yeah.
We're like, Tulane's a player this year. Like,
Tulane has lost like 8 games, and they're all by like
their one win is against
points.
Morgan State. They have not beaten an FBS team. And trust me, we love the FCS here. We absolutely love the FCS. But they have not beaten an FBS team, and Oklahoma barely got by them. Kansas has not beaten an FBS team.
Yep.
If it wasn't for that ridiculous play on 4th down where Williams grabbed the ball from his running back who was going to be stopped and got the first down. And that was, if you're Kansas, you're just sitting here and you're like, hello, darkness, my old friend. But there's a case for Oklahoma. There's a case for Cincy. You know what, man? I love West Coast college football. I love the Oregon Ducks. I love their uniforms. Fell in love with them before Marcus Mariota. When they were in the Natty and they lost to Auburn and Gene Chizik in like 2009 or 2010, whatever year that was. But Oregon, since the Ohio State game, does not look like a top 15 team.
No.
Oregon looks terrible. Look, and I give them credit for winning. The Pac-12 has beaten up on each other so much in recent. What was
That's
last?
like saying the Conference USA is beating up on each other.
Yeah,
though. I mean, like they're just
like when was Washington the last Pac-12 team
to make it the playoff?
To make the playoff,
I think so.
2016, Jake Browning.
Yeah,
was that the last? I'm pretty sure that's
16
the last.
or 17. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I think it was 16 going into 17. Whatever.
Yeah,
but I mean. I want to see. We're in California. I want to see a Pac-12 team.
Did you see Stanford against Utah?
Yeah.
And they got absolutely.
I think Utah's the best team
eviscerated.
in the pack.
Right, and they've lost 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing with a little extra, but I look, I mean, even Oregon's resume, the Stanford's not a good loss. That's a bad loss.
It's horrible.
I think you have to put, you can't, literally, Oregon's hanging there because of one result at Ohio State.
Yes.
And
So what happened if they went out and they beat, let's look at their schedule really quick. So Oregon, they are 8-1. They had that big win against Ohio State early on by 7. They beat Fresno State by 7 in the first week. Okay. So from now on, they play Washington State at home this week. They play at Utah the week after. That could be if they win that.
I don't see them winning that game. I don't see Oregon going to Salt Lake City and beating Utah.
I don't know if they beat Washington State this weekend.
That's fair too. That's fair too. Actually, Washington State, since the whole Vax controversy with their coaching staff took off, even when he was there, and since he's left, they've been a really good football team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then they finish this with the Civil War against Oregon State.
I'd love nothing more than Oregon to prove to us these final 3 weeks before the Pac championship that they do belong in that conversation. But if they do win out and they keep playing this weird style 24-17 wins, it's going to be such an ugly showing for the Pac-12 and the Ducks in the playoff that as long as we stick with this format, there's not going to be another Pac-12 team considered. The Pac-12 has been so bad the last 3-4 years in the national scope, and it's good. It's a good product of football. There's parity in the conference. Yeah. It's fun, but you're just not going to hang with the SEC top dogs, the Big 12 top dogs, and others. The Group of 5 top dogs even. I think we're so far removed from the last time a Pac-12 team's been in. I think the committee is like almost giving this extra benefit of the doubt to Oregon. Like, well, hey, they're a Pac-12 team that picked up a quality non-conference win against another top 5. And I mean, let's ignore the fact that they lost, an overtime game at Stanford and barely got by other Washington's not a good football team.
No, they're
they
kind
lost to
of
Montana.
turmoil now.
They lost to Montana. And,
yeah.
And they barely got by Washington this last week. I mean,
beat Cal by 7.
The Cal, that was a bad result for them. I mean,
Cal is in shambles right now. Their basketball team lost last night. Who did they play?
UC San Diego.
That's right.
Yeah.
Lucas Armstrong, stand up.
Yeah.
And then their game this weekend in football is postponed due to a COVID outbreak.
Such a bad look. First FBS cancellation.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's bad.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree that I think that Oregon is getting a little bit of a boost from the committee saying, Pac-12, it's been a while. Let's kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. We know the West Coast people are itching for a West Coast team to make it, to be more interested. I mean, before you walked in, I was talking about how maybe the committee brings a little more of market share and eyeball and, dollars versus, actual resume into the picture. I mean, if things hold out and everyone wins out, and Oregon, let's say Oregon keeps winning by like 6, 7, 10, they win a Pac-12 title game against Utah, last second field goal.
But like I almost feel like, and I've been wrong about this stuff before. But I almost feel like it's pointless to have that conversation. I don't see a world where Oregon beats Utah twice in like a month.
Right.
Like Utah's just playing like way out of their minds right now. And they're at their place. I don't even see if Oregon does it, then I'm more on the side of Oregon getting into the playoff, because like that'd be kind of impressive. But Oregon they just haven't impressed it. There hasn't been one performance after Ohio State where you've been like, yep, that's a playoff team. Yeah. Not once. Not once. They had a chance to do it at UCLA. They were up 17. UCLA was healthy. Fourth quarter, they let UCLA get back in that game, and it wound up being decided by a field goal.
Man, I think that if Oregon gets in, it's a good thing, like overall, if they deserve it. And right now, they haven't shown that. I would like to see a West Coast team win it all, because I am frankly tired of the SEC or the Big Ten winning it. And
I found the camera, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's small. It's small, but it's there. I don't want my main rooting interest right now is if Cincinnati wins out, they need to be in.
Absolutely, and I think what are they elevated to 5th now?
Yeah, they're 5th.
I think they will get in if they win out. I think right now, Georgia 1, Cincy 2, Oklahoma 3, Bama 4. I think that's
fair.
I think that's what it should be right now.
Yeah.
And I put Bama 4 because guess what? Bama did lose at Texas A&M. Turns out A&M has kind of kicked it into a different gear. We'll see how they do at Ole Miss this weekend. I haven't been high on A&M, but when I look at that being the potential 4, and if people are trying to say, well, Bama, even if you do have Cincy and Oklahoma in that top 4, you shouldn't have Bama at 4. Why shouldn't we have Bama at 4? Bama's lost the game. Bama almost lost at home to LSU this past weekend.
Right.
So if we're gonna penalize Oregon, which they haven't really penalized Oregon, but we would, right? We wouldn't reward Oregon with the playoff spot with the way they've been playing. We'd put them in Cincy's spot where they have a chance to do it, but they've got to show more. That's what the committee's basically baiting Cincy on. It's like, hey, you guys can do it. You guys are right there, but we need to see a little bit more. If that's the message the committee is sending to Cincy, I think that's the message they should be sending these other one-loss Power 5 teams that are right on the cusp.
Yeah, it's not just win out. It's you got to have style points. You got to win big. You got to do something to impress. And hopefully the committee agrees with that assessment, and we don't just stay stuck in neutral. They did move those 2 teams up, but that was partially because Michigan State lost. Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan all moved up 1 slot, and Michigan State dropping from 3rd to 7th.
I'm okay without a Big Ten team in this year.
See, the thing is, if you just matched them up right now, if Oregon and Ohio State played again, I think Ohio State wins by 20.
Yeah, pretty easily.
CJ Stroud was not playing super well to begin the season, and now he's been maybe the best quarterback in the country the last 5-6 weeks. Maybe not Jameson Williams, but they've been awesome. I know they barely squeaked by Nebraska, but they've been putting up absolute points. I think they're the best offensive team in the country, stats wise. So, yeah, it's when we got rid of the BCS, we thought, all right, we're gonna get some legitimate, obviously, thank you for the playoff, and we love this idea of bringing more teams in, and we're not gonna have the controversies where it's an undefeated Auburn team doesn't get in the BCS like we saw a long time ago. But now we're with a whole new conundrum, and it's good for argument and it's good for whatnot. But come on, just put Cincy in. Come on. Speaking of college football, Chris, we got a pretty big weekend. We had some action tonight. We had some action last night, which is, if you like points, Maction's going to get you some points. We had a 50 spot put up by it wasn't Kent State, was it tonight?
Golden Flashes.
Central Michigan against Kent State. Kent State got up to a 14-0 lead after 1, and then Central Michigan outscored them 54-16 after that. University of Northern Illinois, not Northern Iowa, beat Ball State on a last-second field goal. Toledo torched Bowling Green. So that's kind of the appetizer portion. That's
you know what I equate the whole MAC Tuesday, Wednesday Maction stuff to? Because those schools start the season and pretty much play the majority of the season. They only do this Maction stuff in November.
Yeah.
But those teams start the season like everybody else. Play on Saturday, practice Monday through Friday, have Sunday off, whatever. Max picked up some big wins this year. What was it? Bowling Green knocked off Minnesota.
That was the big thing.
Western Michigan beat Pitt on the road. Those were a couple big wins for the MAC. The MAC is always in the midst of causing a little bit of havoc, out of the gate in the college football season. But it's almost like you're at this really formal reception and you see these dudes walking around in suits and, bougie watches and shoes and whatever else. And then you're like, wonder who those guys are. They seem important. I wouldn't want to mess with those guys. And then 20 minutes later, you see them in the pool with their half of their suits on, hitting each other with giant noodles. And I mean, that's what the MAC is for me. Like the MAC is like, dang, like, dude, this team's legit. And then I watch these guys go at it on Tuesday, and it's like 54-45 with like 7 minutes left, and I'm just like, really? Like, I like it. I'm not complaining about it, but I just think it's like, oh, I thought you were that, but you're doing this, and it's really great for college football. One thing I hope they never take away from us as college sports fans is this midweek college football stuff in the MAC, because college basketball just started yesterday, and it got me thinking of all the cool college basketball stuff they have pulled the plug on in the last decade. Remember the 24-hour tip-off?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like,
that was phenomenal.
Like, why not? Like, why don't they still have it? Like,
I planned my class schedule around that when
it was
I was
amazing.
in college.
It was amazing. Like, Hawaii got the midnight their time game. It was 3 a.m. here, 6 a.m. on the East Coast. You'd wake up and you'd watch, a student-filled arena open up there. I mean, it was cool. It was awesome. I also liked, and it wasn't for high major basketball fans, but Cal Poly and stuff like that, the bracket buster game. They used to just kind of like assess you with another mid-major team, and you guys would just meet together randomly one weekend, like on 2 weeks' notice, and play a game. Yeah. So I mean, don't take away the action.
No, I think ESPN, they have the power to do this. I mean, they're definitely the ones who are driving that midweek game. So I think as long as they're seeing the ratings or the attention that they're hoping for, they're going to continue that. But yeah, I mean, why get rid of the 24-hour marathon? That was something special to behold. Kids these days, they don't know what it was like to stay up till 3 a.m. watching Hawaii play Hawaii Hilo. All right, Chris, let's take one quick break. When we come back, we'll preview the weekend in college football, the biggest games, our favorite lines, our favorite money lines and spreads and all that good stuff. I think we've done pretty well this year. I haven't actually tracked it. Maybe I should go back and listen. But let's just say we're 10-0, maybe 10-1.
Thereabouts.
Yeah, thereabouts, plus or minus a couple. But we'll give you some winners. We'll have some fun, and we'll talk college football, the best sport in the land. The Slow Late Show. Alex Klepper, Chris Vester. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio, 1280 The Ticket.
Arroyo Grande Chevrolet and Rooster Creek Tavern present The Eagle Report on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. Eagles football used a punishing rushing attack and a long pick six to blitz past Madera 49-21 in Friday's CAF playoff opening game. Caden Tynes had 92 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing, leading the team in both, and quarterback Max Perrette punched in one to complement his touchdown pass to Damian Santos, but it was Makai Puka who had the play of the night, returning an interception 104 yards at the end of the first half, in addition to a touchdown on the ground. This Friday's quarterfinals see the Eagles host Washington Union of Fresno. Both water polo teams won their playoff openers going away, the girls 18-4 over Clovis North and the boys 21-8 over Clovis West. And Gigi Gunasayan, Bella Gunasayan, and Emily Webb each shot 80 or better at Monday's golf sectionals, qualifying for this Thursday's regionals in Pasadena. The Eagle Report, brought to you by Arroyo Grande Chevrolet on Traffic Way in Arroyo Grande. Find new roads. And by Rooster Creek Tavern, a special place in the village of Arroyo Grande for delicious food, refreshing drinks, and good company. Hello, Central Coast. Alex Klepper of the Slow Late Show here to remind you to tune in every Wednesday night from 10 to midnight as Chris Sylvester and myself go through the wonderful world of sports with our own special touch. We talk the usual favorites, of course, but we also talk MMA, soccer, boxing, hockey, maybe even a little wrestling here or there. Who knows? We're going to break down lines, give best bets for the weekend, for entertainment purposes only, of course, talk Cal Poly sports, maybe get hyped for a Kid Cudi song. Oh, and also, our phone lines are open. Join us every Wednesday from 10 to midnight on the Slow Late Show. This is the Mechanics Bank Cal Poly Report on ESPN Radio 1280 and 101.7 FM, your ticket to Cal Poly Athletics. Mustangs football closed out their 2021 road schedule by visiting Big Sky leading Sac State on Saturday, losing to the Hornets 41-9, their 8th consecutive loss following their season opening W. Poly responded to the hosts' 14-0 lead after one with a safety, the Green and Gold's first in 11 years, and a touchdown to cut the deficit to 5, but the Hornets scored the game's final 27 points to end at the final margin. The Mustangs host host Idaho State and Northern Arizona the next 2 Saturdays to close out the season. Women's soccer beat Cal State Fullerton 2-0 in Thursday's Big West Tourney semifinal to secure their first championship game appearance since 2009, where they fell to top-seeded UC Irvine 1-0 on Sunday. Sophomore Nikki Trucco led the Mustangs with 10 goals in the season, while junior Brooke Rubenstein had a team-best 8 assists, and freshman goalkeeper Mackenzie Samuel produced 4 clean sheets in 8 games. And men's soccer saw their season end in the Big West Tournament opening round, falling to UC Riverside 1-0 inside Spanos on Wednesday.
At Mechanics Bank, we know that today's good sport is tomorrow's good citizen. We believe the lessons of sports, discipline, teamwork, and respect for others not only make better kids today, but better adults, better citizens, and better communities tomorrow. That's why we're proud to support the Cal Poly Mustangs and youth sports organizations throughout the Central Coast. Stop by any of our local branches or visit us online at mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Now, back to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Slow Late Show here on ESPN Radio 1280.
Or just vibing.
Ticket. Oh yeah, that's what the show is all about. Just vibing, having a good time, and telling you how bad the NFL is compared to every other awesome sport. All right, Chris. So we talked about the college football playoff rankings. What happened a little bit last weekend. Let's talk about what's coming up. Tomorrow night we got UNC just off the big. Actually, it wasn't even an upset. UNC was a 2.5-point favorite on then unbeaten Wake Forest, and you saw why. They came back and throttled them, and now Wake Forest defense is. I mean, if they had even like probably the worst SEC defense, they would still be unbeaten and they'd be maybe in the playoff picture, but we digress. North Carolina taking on number 21 Pitt. Pitt is 6.5-point favorites, over under of 73. Both teams score points. Kenny Pickett, he's a Heisman.
Can he sling it? Yeah. Speaking of Heisman, what are we gonna do?
Are we picking it? I'm
genuine. Like, who's even the favorite right now?
The favorite, I believe. I know Jameson Williams is like third, which is insane because he's played like 4.5 games. I think. Let me see. Let me try to find it here. I think.
Talking about the Oklahoma quarterback?
Yeah.
Caleb Williams.
Why am I thinking of Jameson Williams?
Ohio State.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jameson Williams, the receiver. No, Jameson Williams is receiver for Alabama.
Bama.
Yeah. Speaking of Bama, I think Bryce Young is the current favorite.
Really?
CJ Stroud.
Yeah, you think he's the favorite?
Well, okay, let's find the odds. Heisman odds.
Like Kay Walker looked like he was really pushing for it after the Michigan game, and then they go lose to Purdue by like 2 touchdowns.
All right, per VegasInsider.com, the favorite for the Heisman is Bryce Young at plus 185. Kenneth Walker still second at plus 300. When was this? This is November 7th. Yeah, okay, so this is taken into account last weekend's games. Matt Corral plus 450. CJ Stroud also plus 450. Caleb Williams plus 850. Not my only name mistake of the last couple of days. If you heard the Cal Poly broadcast, we'll talk about that later. So, I mean, I think it's going to go over 72 or 73 between Pitt and UNC, but I don't think I'm going to, I'm not going to say that's a lock or anything. Both teams score points and don't do very well at keeping the other team from scoring points.
Right.
Friday night, we got Cincy. Talking Cincy up. They're playing 2-7 USF, South Florida. Cincy's 23.5-point favorites.
If they can't cover,
they got to cover. Maybe maybe the committee's looking at like, all right, who's covering? Like you gotta put up, a 56-3 against USF, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, USF's really bad. They're not a good football team at all.
No. I don't trust Cincinnati enough to cover that.
I don't either. Oh, I don't either.
Then we got 5-4 Wyoming and 5-4 Boise, who destroyed the hearts of many Central Valley.
All right, look at Boise's schedule. Tell me Boise isn't like the weirdest team in the country.
Yeah,
because they're 5-4, but half of their games, they look like an easy top 20 team, like easily top 20.
Like the Boise of old.
And then the other half, they look like a middle of the pack Mountain West team.
Yeah. So they've had close losses to good teams. I'll give them that. They lost to UCF to begin the season by 5.
And that was when UCF was healthy. They
Yeah,
had
and
their
UCF
quarterback.
is what, 6-2 now? 6-3?
Are they? No. Are they?
Yeah. UCF. Hold please. UCF is 6-3, third in the American. They lost to Oklahoma State by 1. They lost to Nevada by 10, and they lost to Air Force by 7. Now they've beaten UTEP, or UTEP Miners, by 41, beat Utah State by 24, BYU by 9, Colorado State by 9, and Fresno State by 26. Yeah, they're extremely hot and cold, and none of those losses were big. But it just seems strange.
And none of those losses were bad because Air Force is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Nevada has a first round pick at quarterback in Carson Strong.
Yeah.
But like they lost those games at home, and Boise just doesn't lose on the blue like that
Right.
against conference teams. So, really weird stuff happening in Fresno last week. They sold out.
I know, for the first time in like 5 years.
in a minute, and Boise got the better of them. Although I think those teams might see each other again in the Mountain West title game. We'll see.
Yeah. So the title are right now the Mountain West.
I think San Diego State's got
standings,
first again.
Yeah.
So San Diego State and Boise, by the way, closed the regular season against each other. They
Yeah.
could match up like the following week in the Mountain West Championship.
All right. So Mountain West Mountain leader Utah State 4-1. Then we got Air Force and Boise at 3-2. In the West, San Diego State and Nevada are both 4-1. Fresno State has played one more game. They're 4-2. So it could
so
be.
you need Nevada to lose one, and Nevada and San Diego State play this weekend, so that'll be for
Yeah.
sole possession of first place. And
Yeah.
Fresno's beaten both of them. So
This is what I was talking about to
so
begin the
good.
show.
It's so good.
The
Yeah,
college
it's-
football is just there's nothing quite like it.
But do you know what type of college football fan is the most miserable in a year like this? A Power 5 college football fan. Because if you're not following the other stuff,
Oh, yeah.
like if you're only looking for the premier SEC game or the premier Big 12, Big 10 game, you're missing out. Like
Yeah.
because the schedule this last month of the year, there aren't any like 7 versus 10 type matchups. Like we got a lot of that early in the season, I felt like this year in college football. And I had a buddy of mine text me, he was like, dude, like there's no good college football until after Thanksgiving. I'm like, what are you talking about? College football's always good.
Yeah.
And for two, like, yeah, maybe it's not Michigan, Ohio State every week, but there are some really good and important matchups.
So speaking of Ohio State, they're kind of the ones keeping the marquee games going because they play Purdue this week, they play Michigan State next week, and then Michigan after that. So that's three pretty fun games. So let's break down. We talked about the games on Friday, Saturday. It's 9 a.m. slate. Number 6 Michigan visiting 6-3 Penn State. Michigan a 1.5 favorite on the road, over under 48.5. I don't trust either of these teams enough to do anything with that. I think Michigan, I think 80% chance they win. I think their offense has shown more than I expected this year. And their defense got gashed by Kenneth Walker III a couple weeks ago, but that's not exactly anything too bad that happens to a lot of teams. And Penn State, they'll probably stay close, but I think Michigan probably wins that one. Oklahoma, ranked 8th in the country. They are at number 13, Baylor. Oklahoma, 5.5 point favorites on the road, over under 62. I have a pick for this one. I think Oklahoma covers the spread. I think this is a statement game from Oklahoma. I think Baylor, they kind of, they lost last week to TCU without Gary Patterson at the helm anymore. I think Baylor's going to start a steep downward trend for the rest of the year. And I think Oklahoma, they feel like they need to do something big. After they didn't play last week, and they started at 9, or they started at 8 in the original college football playoff polls. They're stayed there. They're going to try to go for like a 30-point win. I don't know if it'll be 30, but
is the message the committee is sending like OU, if you win out, it doesn't really matter? Like, are they going to keep out? Are they going to really keep out a Big 12 undefeated champ.
So I think I saw someone say this, and I didn't totally follow every step of the logic, but it seemed to make sense in that the top 9 teams or the top 8 teams, if they win out, they're in. Now, Georgia, obviously, if they win out, they're in. Alabama, if they win out, because that means they beat Georgia in the SEC title game, they're in. Oregon, if they win out, I mean, are you really going to drop them if they're number 3 right now? Ohio State, they're playing Michigan State, and then a Big Ten championship game. I don't think you can, they knock off a couple contenders there with the Michigans, and then they, have a big win. Cincinnati, I guess that's the one where you say if they win out, it's not quite there. Michigan State, again, they play Ohio State, so they would replace them potentially if they win out. And then Oklahoma, I think if Oklahoma wins out, I think they get there.
They have to. I mean, they have to. I think they should be in that playoff right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're getting too nitpicky with the playoff committee is being too nitpicky.
And the problem with them is they're just not consistent. Like, they're picky for this team, but they're not picky for this team, and they're picky for this team, but they're not picky for this team.
Yeah, no one's consistent except for Georgia. That's literally Georgia and UTSA are the 2 most consistent teams in the country, and UTSA is number 23.
Without a doubt.
Both 9-0. Yeah, Oklahoma. So they play Baylor. I think Oklahoma wins big. Then they play Iowa State.
By the way,
yeah,
and I would have no problem with a Georgia, Cincy, Oklahoma, UTSA playoff. How epic would that be?
Oh my God,
just send Georgia and Oklahoma at each other.
Yeah,
dude, tell me Cincy UTSA would not be
it'd be phenomenal.
A college football game over the century.
Okay, if 30 million people didn't watch that, my faith in humanity would be dashed.
Like any rating that come out and says that that's lower than a freaking Clemson Notre Dame or Ohio State and Clemson, whatever crap we've been watching year after year. Come on, man. I mean,
so they're currently having the debate right now. I don't think it's the committee, it's someone else, between an 8-game playoff or a 12-game playoff. Right now, I know what the 8-game would be. It would be the Power 5, the winner of those, plus the best
group of 5,
best group of 5, and then 2 at-larges. If there's 12, would that allow UTSA in, or would they just be like, no, you're number 23? Would they try to shoehorn in another, if there was another really good non-Power 5?
I would hope so.
I would hope so. If that's the case, then I'll step back off my it should be 8 and I'll put in 12.
Look, there's, in my opinion, and look, UTSA took care of business. Do we need to get out to a break?
Then we got a minute.
Okay, we got a minute.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tight deadline. All right, I just think about the great mid-major college basketball teams that have been rewarded for their regular season success with high seeds in the tournaments. Like, remember that one year Poly played Wichita State? Mm-hmm. They were the 1 seed. And I'm sure they had like tougher non-conference schedule than UTSA in football this year if we're comparing the apple and the orange. But like, UTSA went to Illinois. They beat Illinois. Look what Illinois has done. They've made a little noise in the Big Ten. And UTSA went to Memphis, and Memphis has at times beaten some pretty good teams. Memphis just beat SMU this past weekend.
Yeah.
Memphis beat Mississippi State earlier this year. So you make a case. There's a case. Like, I get it right now. I really do. I get it. I don't get the 23, but I get not having them in the top 10. But
they should not be below Auburn. 6-3 Auburn.
Exactly. If we get to the finish line and UTSA is still kicking undefeated, and Cincy slipped, and Oklahoma slipped, and and like Ohio State slipped in the Big Ten final to Wisconsin, or so, I don't know, man.
It's coming in.
The Roadrunners.
Meep. I mean, and they just dealt a death blow to the
Give
beloved
me
UTEP Miners.
UTSA in the playoff, and I'll be a happy man.
You know what?
Into 22.
If they just ditched like a normal bowl game and like, hey, UTSA, meet us, Alamo Bowl,
kind of like what we had last year, BYU Coastal.
Yes,
like that was awesome.
Dude, that would be sick.
That was awesome.
I feel like they should do that every year now. Like, all right, these 2 teams unbeaten, only one of you is going to make the playoff. Let's battle it off right now. All right, first hour done. The Slow Late Show. Alex Klepper, Chris Sylvester. We'll be right back on ESPN 1280, 101.7. twitch.tv/slowlate. Arroyo Grande Chevrolet and Rooster Creek Tavern present The Eagle Report on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. Eagles football used a punishing rushing attack and a long pick six to blitz past Madera 49-21 in Friday's CAF playoff opening game. Caden Tynes had 92 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing, leading the team in both, and quarterback Max Perrette punched in one to complement his touchdown pass to Damian Santos, but it was Makai Puka who had the play of the night, returning an interception 104 yards at the end of the first half, in addition to a touchdown on the ground. This Friday's quarterfinals see the Eagles host Washington Union of Fresno. Both water polo teams won their playoff openers going away. The girls and Gigi Gunasayan, Bella Gunasayan, and Emily Webb each shot 80 or better at Monday's golf sectionals, qualifying for this Thursday's regionals in Pasadena. The Eagle Report, brought to you by Arroyo Grande Chevrolet on Traffic Way in Arroyo Grande. Find new roads. And by Rooster Creek Tavern, a special place in the village of Arroyo Grande for delicious food, refreshing drinks, and good company. Hello, Central Coast. Alex Klepper of the Slow Late Show here to remind you to tune in every Wednesday night from 10 to midnight as Chris Sylvester and myself go through the wonderful world of sports with our own special touch. We talk the usual favorites, of course, but we also talk MMA, soccer, boxing, hockey, maybe even a little wrestling here or there. Who knows? We're going to break down lines, give best bets for the weekend, for entertainment purposes only, of course, talk Cal Poly sports, maybe get hyped for a Kid Cudi song. Oh, and also, our phone lines are open. Join us every Wednesday from 10 to midnight on the Slow Late Show.
Painting you a picture of the feelings that you never did. Do you hear the voices in my head calling for something to know?
Now, back to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Out there, hold on, love, you're walking thin air.
Welcome back to the Slow Late Show here on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket, 101.7 FM in the North County, twitch.tv/slowlate. Alex Klepper, Chris Sylvester here for you for one more hour. If you want to talk to us, 805-595-3776. That's 805-595-ESPN. If you are one of those long-haul trekkers that Chris was talking about before, we would love to talk to you. Sports, it's great. Also, twitch.tv/slowlate. You can chat on there. We got Muffin914, who's commented a couple times. We got DJ Juice94, who has also commented a couple times.
Oh, that's yeah, I know who that is.
Is that Guadalupe?
That's the man in Guadalupe.
Okay. Is he going to be able to make it on Friday? You said on the broadcast that you think he's going to make it up for the NDSU game from Guadalupe. He wasn't able to make last night's game.
Yeah. That's the plan right now.
Okay.
That's what it's looking like.
Is he lacking
He's
transportation?
he's going to be with our good friend Dave Fleming in Eugene this weekend.
Oh, is he?
He's helping out Dave with the ESPN telecast, Wazoo, Oregon. Maybe Juice can wake up the Ducks.
Give him a little speech. Pregame speech.
Yeah.
I feel like if we're thinking of the same person, if he gives the same speech that he gave to, he's told the story about when he's going against an offensive lineman. Just give that speech to the Oregon players.
Yeah,
they're gonna tear through the wall and they'll win by 50.
Oh,
so,
and they need that.
They do.
I mean, it seems like the playoff committee loves them so much that they might be too if they win that game by 50.
Oh, he responded. Should be there Friday. All right, Guadalupe, stand up. The King of Guadalupe, DJ Juice, is in here. Chris, we talked a little bit about the Saturday slate of college football. Let's continue that. Did you have a pick for Oklahoma Baylor, or you're staying away from that?
No, I like Oklahoma. I never really bought into Baylor. I mean, like they beat Texas, but Texas isn't good. Texas is not good.
No.
Like I thought Texas was good.
They're
for a
4-5.
Well, they got trucked by Arkansas early in the season, and then Arkansas looked like they were pretty good.
Texas is 4-5, 2-4 in
That's
the Big
terrible.
12.
Is it Sark or
SEC.
is it just Texas?
I think it's just Texas. I think just they were talking about it on Freddie and Fitz before we got on the air, and Fitz is a big Texas guy, and he was taking his monologue to talk about. I guess there was some video of a coach like yelling at his players. I didn't hear about this until that, but he's like, "Oh, that's football, and if you don't like that, get out of here," and whatnot. And I understand the desire to not see guys joking around and being super loose after another loss. But he also mentioned that Sark had said, this is not the team I would have built if I were here a couple years ago, which is, you got to feel like that's a kind of a strange situation if you were a player. Like, I'm a redshirt senior hoping to go out on top. We're not having a great season so far. This guy comes in and making $7 million a year, and he's saying, yeah, you wouldn't have been here if I was choosing. It's
yeah,
just,
I mean, that dude was probably recruited by Charlie Strong, played under Tom Herman, and now he's finishing under Sark. Yeah, it's a messy situation there, and they had an embarrassing showing at Iowa State this past week, and Iowa State has actually been one of the bigger disappointments in college football when you think about where people thought they could be.
Yeah,
because they were really good last year, and they brought back like a majority.
But I think 21 starters
of their team from last season. So people were like, "Oh, Iowa State's going to be good out of the chute." And Matt Campbell, their head coach, has been rumored with like the SC job and some of the other big ones, LSU. But it's like Texas needs to get over the fact that they're Texas and take a mold like that and just let a dude work it for like 5-6 years. Shut the boosters up. You've got enough money to get through. If boosters want to hold back for a few years, so be it. At some point or another, and SC's in the same spot. SC's got to do the same thing. But at some point or another, you just have to let a good coach sit there for 5 years and be like, all right, this is my fingerprints and my fingerprints only all over this program. Here's where we're at.
I think Texas is the 5th best football team in Texas. You got UTSA, you got Baylor, you got Houston. What was the other one?
SMU?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, SMU's better than Texas.
I think they are.
I mean, there's a chance UTEP's better too.
Yeah,
there's a chance.
Seriously, like they'll probably have a shootout with UTEP, but it's not a given.
No, it's not. It's not a gimme game.
No. All right.
Hey. Number 1 team in the FCS, Sam Houston State.
Yeah.
Like Sam Houston State's probably better than Texas.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
There it is.
Sark, you got some work to do. Oh, A&M, of course.
A&M.
Yeah.
Wow. So and Allen High School.
Yeah. That's where Sark's going next if things continue this way. All right, still the 9 a.m. slate. 5-4 Mississippi State at number 17 Auburn. I just say that one because I'm thinking the under is pretty solid for that. Mike Leach hasn't exactly lit the world on fire at Mississippi State, and Auburn, they just put up a stinker at Texas A&M. I think this is a defensive contest. The over-under is 50. I'm going under that. We have 3-5 Stanford. Favorites at 4-5 Florida. No, just kidding. But Florida, I mean.
Wait, who does Florida play?
Samford of FCS.
Samford.
Yeah.
Samford.
Sam. I just wanted to bring that one up because Dan
Mullen's got to go.
People were talking about him as like the savior for Florida, like the next Spurrier, and now they're 4-5. And
dude, they
could be gone.
They let South Carolina, who I could name 10 FCS schools that are better than South Carolina right now.
Yes.
40 points.
Yeah.
And they beat them by 27.
Yeah. And they finally let go of their defensive coordinator, Todd Grantham, which I know
That just seems like one of those moves, it's just the precursor.
Got to buy some time.
Kind of like what's going on at Washington with Jimmy Lake. See, he got suspended for a game.
Yeah. I was on Twitter while we were doing, I guess not we, because you were doing something else for Cal Poly football. It was, you were across the country, weren't you?
When was this?
Last Saturday.
I don't do Cal Poly football on the road. I was in
know,
Texas doing some soccer.
That's right.
I was on the pitch.
Yes. 1-0 on the pitch.
Oh, I love the nil.
Yeah, the nil. It's a good word to lurk.
Zero's not even in my vocabulary.
No.
Like, am I even allowed to say that on the radio?
Oh no, definitely
Feels
not.
dirty.
Between soccer and the the grinders, rise and grind, you can't say zero. That's negative.
No.
So I lost my train of thought.
Well, we were talking about how bad Florida is,
Yes, we did.
and eventually,
Oh yeah, okay. So we're talking about Jimmy Lake.
Yes,
so I was
Jimmy
doing the
Lake.
Cal Poly game, the producing here in the studio, and I was on Twitter, and I saw some Washington fans who were saying like, "This is the worst. This is the lowest of the low," and I'm like, "You're losing to Oregon by 10. Like, it's not that bad." Because I didn't know what happened, and then I saw the video of Jimmy Lake like looking like he was swinging a haymaker at his own player, and then afterwards he's like, "Oh, I wasn't doing like I was trying to separate the player from the other." It's like, how bad of a look is that, where you are that like not in control of your own like actions and emotions to be in practice swinging at a player of your own?
And it's a bad look to do at a home game.
What is with Washington right now?
I know their basketball's arguably worse.
Yeah. Well, and then Wazoo. I mean, they just had to fire more than half their coaching staff.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe I don't know. They could have done a coach swap.
yeah, so that actually might have been good for both.
Although, Washington's in a weird spot because Chris Peterson resigned, and they're like, well, Chris Peterson did so well here. Why don't we just hire from within?
Yeah.
But Jimmy Lake's not the answer.
No.
What's interesting is the big rumor right now is that Lake obviously is not going to continue. He might have coached his last game at Washington. Washington, for whatever reason, wants Justin Wilcox,
Okay.
Cal head coach.
Yeah.
He's probably on the way out too. It's like one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like, what's going on here?
We joked a few weeks ago about how either the Big Sky or the Mountain West is probably the best football conference on the West Coast. I mean, only half kidding at this point.
No, seriously.
Like, both in football and basketball. Like, I don't know if it was all the previous regime for the Pac-12 that this is like just the remnants of. But they got to get something different going in there. I mean, the Pac-12 network has always been a mess in whatever the 5 years it's been in existence. You can't get it.
No.
I try my best to watch, Pac-12 football on Saturdays because, like you said, there's a lot of parody, it's a lot of fun, some craziness goes on. But more than half their games are on the Pac-12 network, which I don't get because I don't subscribe to whatever, like 2 TV services that offer it, and they don't offer a standalone package. What are you supposed to do besides, go to a website that may offer a stream? We will not disclose the name of that. But
well,
if you want to ask JP would know that one.
Yeah, once the sponsorship money kicks in
Yes.
from them, that's when we can.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Pac-12, it's a shamble. I feel like we could do some things if they want to kick us to the commissionership. Give it a little spice. All right, so Auburn, I have the under against Mississippi State. Do you have any big bets? Any lines that you like for the season?
I don't think Bama covers 51 against New Mexico State.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, New Mexico State is bad.
They're really bad.
They look like they might cover.
Maybe one half at New Mexico State. You got it. Like, I don't expect you to do this live on the air, and I don't expect the truckers to do this while they're trucking. But like, New Mexico State is a really good first half team.
Yes. No, you're right. Like they were
up at SDSU by 10. They were up on Utah State this past weekend at the half,
and they ended up losing by 22. And the spread was 20.
I think they were close at Hawaii at the half.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe one half is the
no,
the
but
bet
I mean, Bama will probably put up like 56 in the first half.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just, those big lines are just sometimes
no, it's,
like,
it's
really?
tough.
Are they really going to do that? And then you're like, yeah, they did that.
All right. I like West Virginia plus 6.5 at 6-3 Kansas State. If Kansas State's kind of feel themselves a little bit after killing Kansas, they're on a little bit of a run. West Virginia, I thought last week they could have pulled off the at least money line or the spread upset against Oklahoma State. They didn't do that, but I think West Virginia's got a couple more shockers in them at least. Maybe not winning outright, but covering that. So I'm gonna take West Virginia plus 6.5. 12:30 games, 6-3 Minnesota, number 20 Iowa. The over/under is 37. I'm gonna say over for that just for enjoyment's sake. I don't know. I mean, both those teams, Big Ten, it's so hard to gauge because a team can get some good running in
Right.
and score a couple touchdowns, a couple fumbles, of punts. They like punting in the Big Ten. Who knows? But I'm gonna go over on that. UTEP, your Miners is gonna bounce back -1 at North Texas.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're gonna roll.
yeah, oh yeah. At least 6.
Like take out all the frustration from the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Get that meep out of your head.
Hey, now that we're past that UTEP UTSA game, I can really pull for UTSA.
Yeah. No, your conscience is clear.
Did you see that they extended their head coach? They gave him a 10-year deal,
UTSA?
averaging $2.8 million per season. So about 10 years, $28 million.
Yeah.
Which is a lot for a school like that to probably take on to pay their head coach almost $3 million a year.
Right.
It's under the obvious that he's probably going to go elsewhere this offseason.
Yeah. I was going to say
And
over under of a year and a half left at UTSA.
So UTSA is going to get that $28 million from the school that hires him.
yeah.
And also potentially there could be another clause there where they could get some extra. Nate Oates, who's the basketball coach now at Bama, like a week before he took the Bama job, signed like a 12-year extension at Buffalo.
Right.
He's not staying at Buffalo.
No. The only sport that has a more fun coaching carousel than college sports is soccer. I mean, soccer, they'll go through like 4 managers in a season as you're trying to escape relegation in the Premier League or La Liga. But college sports, I mean, all those extensions are there for that reason of, all right, we want you to be here. The recruiting cycle, the guys weren't going to come here if they don't think you're going to be here. And also, if you get poached, we want some of that a little bit back. You can't just go year to year in college. Any other college games that you like or want to talk about before we take a break?
Well, I mean, I want to talk about all of them.
Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, there's nothing specific. I'm looking forward to another. Look, we got college football and college basketball this weekend. How awesome is that?
I mean, so we were talking about how this is the best time of the year for sports. This and March Madness we had the World Series going on. We had football. We had NBA. So we traded Major League Baseball for college basketball. And you know what? I think I'll take that trade right now.
I'm liking the trade right now.
Yeah.
If baseball wants to repeat its ugliness that we saw last year, like as we were I don't want to say coming out of COVID, but as we were coming out of being super restricted, I guess, like when they started playing. Like, remember how ugly that whole thing was? Like we were supposed to get like an 80 to 100 game season. We had to settle for 60. Players had their salaries prorated, no fans, whatever.
Texas. Playing in Texas, just no fans.
Are they going to do it to us again? Are they going to?
They're going to lock down. I think they're going to lock out. Yeah,
they're going to lock out.
I mean, did you see Scott Boris's comments today?
Heyman said today 2.5 months lockout at least, which would push back the start of everything.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a big offseason. There's a lot of
huge,
really good
this free agent
agents.
class is crazy.
Yeah,
like shortstop positions loaded.
Yeah, I mean,
starting pitchers are loaded.
You have potentially both Cy Young winners on the market. You have Robbie Ray, who's probably going to win the AL Cy Young. Max Scherzer, who could win the NL Cy Young. Both of them are free agents. You have Clayton Kershaw, a free agent, who's obviously a multiple-time Cy Young winner.
Bauer might opt out.
I don't know if anyone's going near Bauer. Maybe the Rockhounds. And then you have Marcus Semien, who's going to be second or third in the AL MVP.
Correa, Seager.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
at that shortstop,
loaded.
Castellanos, who had
Freddie
a huge
Freeman?
year. Freddie Freeman is a free agent. Man, I mean, this is a stacked class. Brandon Belt could be a free agent too.
Mm-hmm. Buster Posey's going to come out of retirement and play for my beloved Oakland Athletics.
You guys need it. I'm hearing bad things about what's to come this winter.
Yeah, well, we can afford like a $2 million salary buster. We take that. Well, 2 million, 1 million for each set of twins you have, Buster. What do you think? Talk to John Fisher.
Dylan Bundy's out there, by the way. We've been talking this whole
Okay.
Bundy to Oakland,
it's
sub
coming
3 ERA thing for like 2 years.
Yeah. So Chris and I's co-working theory is if you take the same player and you put him on, you take one player, you put on the A's, and you put him on the Angels, the difference in ERA is going to be at least 2 runs.
At least 2 runs.
Yeah. That's the Angels they are notoriously bad for picking up quote unquote bargain free agents like Matt Harvey and Dylan Bundy. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, talk more NBA. We talked a little bit about the Miami Heatles. We also had a fierce showdown of the Slow Late Show staff. My beloved Sacramento Kings, a hard-fought loss to JP Hirioka's San Antonio Spurs. And just let's go over what we've seen so far. A lot of interesting stuff in the NBA season so far.
Yeah.
It's
Where's Harden?
Harden's currently at the buffet. We'll talk about Mr. Nikola Jokic as well. I know that'll heat Chris back up after he came in off the loss tonight. All right, the Slow Late Show, ESPN Radio 1280, 101.7 FM. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
This is the Mechanics Bank Cal Poly Report on ESPN Radio 1280 and 101.7 FM, your ticket to Cal Poly Athletics. Mustangs football closed out their 2021 road schedule by visiting Big Sky leading Sac State on Saturday, losing to the Hornets 41-9, their 8th consecutive loss following their season opening W. Poly responded to the hosts' 14-0 lead after one with a safety, the Green and Gold's first in 11 years, and a touchdown to cut the deficit to 5, but the Hornets scored the game's final 27 points to end at the final margin. The Mustangs host Idaho State in Northern Arizona the next 2 Saturdays to close out the season. Women's soccer beat Cal State Fullerton 2-0 in Thursday's Big West Tourney semifinal to secure their first championship game appearance since 2009, where they fell to top-seeded UC Irvine 1-0 on Sunday. Sophomore Nikki Truco led the Mustangs with 10 goals in the season, while junior Brooke Rubenstein had a team-best 8 assists, and freshman goalkeeper Mackenzie Samuel produced 4 clean sheets in 8 games. And men's soccer saw their season end in the Big West Tournament opening round, falling to UC Riverside 1-0 inside Spanos on Wednesday.
At Mechanics Bank, we know that today's good sport is tomorrow's good citizen. We believe the lessons of sports, discipline, teamwork, and respect for others not only make better kids today, but better adults, better citizens, and better communities tomorrow. That's why we're proud to support the Cal Poly Mustangs and youth sports organizations throughout the Central Coast. Stop by any of our local branches or visit us online at mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Arroyo Grande Chevrolet and Rooster Creek Tavern present the Eagle Report on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. Eagles football used a punishing rushing attack and a long pick six to blitz past Madera 49-21 in Friday's CAF playoff opening game. Caden Tynes had 92 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing, leading the team in both, and quarterback Max Perrette punched in 1 to complement his touchdown pass to Damian Santos, but it was Makai Puku who had the play of the night, returning an interception 104 yards at the end of the first half, in addition to a touchdown on the ground. This Friday's quarterfinals see the Eagles host Washington Union of Fresno. Both water polo teams won their playoff openers going away, the girls 18-4 over Clovis North and the boys 21-8 over Clovis West. And Gigi Gunasayan, Bella Gunasayan, and Emily Webb each shot 80 or better at Monday's golf sectionals, qualifying for this Thursday's regionals in Pasadena. The Eagle Report, brought to you by Arroyo Grande Chevrolet on Traffic Way in Arroyo Grande. Find new roads. And by Rooster Creek Tavern, a special place in the village of Arroyo Grande for delicious food, refreshing drinks, and good company.
Now, back to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Just chilling here in the ESPN Radio 1280 studios. Alex Klepper, Chris Sylvester, Slow Late Show, 101.7 FM. the twitch.tv/slowlate. Chat with our guy DJ Juice, Muffin, all the characters on Twitch. Also, you can call it 805-595-3776. That's 805-595-ESPN. Talking some NBA. Talked about the Miami Heatles falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in overtime a little bit earlier tonight. The Golden State Warriors, I mean, I don't think they're going to win 60-something games, but right now it's looking pretty close to that. Steph Curry putting up a 50 and 10 the other night. Andrew Wiggins goes for 35 against his former team in Minnesota tonight. They are 10 and 1. They have played 8 home games, so that helps, but they are looking really good.
Yeah, and I was skeptic about Steve Kerr as a head coach.
Yeah, you were.
Right?
Yeah.
Steve Kerr is in the midst of his best job. A lot of people said his best job was keeping Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, those crazy teams. I think only for a few years it was. But keeping those teams together and making sure those teams are doing what they were supposed to, because the toughest thing to do sometimes in sports is win when you're supposed to. And when Steve Kerr had the Big Four in Golden State, I thought it was a tougher job making sure that those guys were winning when they were supposed to. But this is great. And this allows Klay Thompson to ease into that return even more. Not that he's not eager to get back out there, but if you could have Klay as close to 100% as possible, give him a few months, maybe add a piece at the deadline, dude, it's still the Splash Bros.
Right.
Steph Curry is still a top 5 player in this game, and he hats off to him, man. He's fun to watch. He's the MVP frontrunner right now,
sure.
hands down.
100%.
It's super early, but looks great.
Speaking of MVP frontrunner, MVP caller, Gian is with us.
No. Gion's
how
back.
you doing tonight? Yeah, that's right. All right, Gian, what do you think about the Warriors so far? Oh, hot take. All right, so we got Steph playing out of his mind. We got Draymond doing his Draymond thing. Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole has been awesome. All right, so you're a big Jordan Poole guy. What are you seeing from the Warriors that makes you think they're better than their pre-KD days? Yeah. Yep. 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 Yeah. Ooh, okay. Here we go. Okay. Oh,
we're finally gonna get that. Finally gonna. We all wanted that matchup when Bron was on the Heat. Like, they missed each other by a year. Like the Warriors and Steph and Klay being great, and LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, they missed each other by a year. They handed the baton to Golden State immediately.
Yeah.
And now we're finally out of that super team era, and we're kind of in the 2-star league still, except if you're the Nets, but they only have 2.
Hey, I mean, Jimmy is playing as well as anyone.
Jimmy's playing at a high level. I like the pick. I remember Gian came on this program a few weeks ago and said Jimmy's the MVP. Now it'd be tough to say that Steph shouldn't be the front runner right now, but that doesn't mean that Jimmy can't still make a run at it. Yeah, low ankle tonight.
Yeah. You mentioned Ant Edwards, 48, dropped 7 threes too. So Nate Duncan on Twitter, who's complaining kind of infamously last year, like, oh, don't show the dunks. This guy can't shoot. Well, he's learned how to shoot, so good for Ant Edwards. He's gonna be a problem for a long time.
Hey, Gian, before we cut you loose, do you have any college football or NFL picks that you like this weekend?
Ooh, yes. Okay. Oh yeah. I heard a really cheesy commercial for that. They're talking like, oh, there's gold in them hills. Didn't do it for me, but it should be a good game. All right, Gian, thanks as always, and we'll watch out for that Steph and Jimmy matchup in the finals. But I'm sure we'll talk before then. All right, Gian, thank you.
All right, that's Gian.
Yeah,
it's Wednesday night.
Yeah, Gian and Wednesday nights just go well together. Also, our guy DJ Juice saying Jimmy Lake in the comments. That's the last thing he said. I think he might have fallen asleep after saying Jimmy Lake. DJ Juice, if you're still there, signs of life. We're having fun here in the Slow Late Show. If you want to join in the fun, if you want to call in like Gian did, 805-595-3776. It's 805-595-ESPN. Or also watch us, twitch.tv/slowlate. You can chat, you can watch us and be creepy about it. All right, so we talked about Ant Edwards and his big game career night. One of the really surprising, the Eastern Conference has been very impressive to start the year. I can't say for sure that the East has become the superior conference, but you look at a team like the Wizards, who are now 8-3.
Weird.
Trez Harrell has gone back to his Clipper days, has put aside the depressing Laker days where he didn't even play in playoff games, and he's the same guy now. He's putting up 24 and 11 in 26 minutes off the bench. That's what Trez does.
Some guys can't play with LeBron James.
Yeah, no.
Trez was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Got Kuz hit like 6 threes.
The Wizards.
Dude.
The Wizards fleeced the Lakers in that trade.
Oh, my God.
They fleeced them.
KCP didn't play well tonight, but Kuzma's playing
22
great
tonight. Look, man,
Trez.
The craziest thing I saw when I looked at the box score was that the Washington Wizards won a game where Bradley Beal scored 13 points.
Right.
You'd probably have to go back to like Beal's first or second year in the league to actually like. There's got to be some stat triggered where that's got to be the fewest points in a game Beal scored in a Wizards win in forever.
Right, and probably their second best player, Spencer Dinwiddie, 11, and they beat the Cavaliers, who didn't have big expectations coming in, but they're 7-5. Evan Mobley is playing like the rookie of the year. Somehow Ricky Rubio is a scoring machine now. He dropped 37 the other night, scored 20 off the bench again tonight. So those are just two of the up and coming teams in the East that have been impressive so far. The Nets, we expected that. They're 8-4. KD putting up 30 tonight. Scotty Barnes, he's playing well for the Raptors, who just got beat by the Celtics tonight. Now I want to, kind of transfer our conversation over to the Celtics. Do we see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart, that whole situation where Marcus Smart brought up they can't pass, and both those guys were like, I don't know what he's talking about. I play basketball, man. Do we see that situation ending well?
No, because ultimately, if you patch everything up behind the scenes in the locker room, like if those guys start hanging out, if those guys decide like, our chemistry's off, we need to go rent a 2-bedroom in downtown Boston and really get intimate with each other here. I mean, look, man, even if that were to happen, they're not good enough to win enough to be happy. So no, it's not gonna end well. Like, yes, you want to build around Tatum and Brown. You don't want to abandon Tatum and Brown, but And by the way, these Ben Simmons to Boston rumors, that is not it, bro. Are you kidding
Can you imagine
me?
trading Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons? No.
Is
Like,
is that the discussion?
Well,
That's a joke, right? It's
So-
that's a joke.
Yeah. I mean,
There's
I think
no way.
that's a Daryl Morey plant.
There's nobody. Look, it is fool's gold, man. Let me tell you, I discovered this a few years ago at the NBA, and I don't know, and I'm genuine when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is also the case in other professional sports, but there is legitimate fake smoke whistleblowers out there in the NBA that do affect the trade market. Like there are fake sources that come out and say something to drive up a price on some guy. No matter how much fool's gold is out there on Ben Simmons, there is no general manager at this very moment sitting there in his right mind being like, yeah, I'm going to give up an asset of value to bring in Ben Simmons.
Right.
No, you just don't. You just don't do it.
I think it is pervasive in all of sports, or at least the major American ones. The NBA, it's very apparent. And then the NFL, I mean, literally all you have to do in the NFL to drive up your trade value or to do whatever you want. Hey, Adam Schefter, this is the agent of so-and-so. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Adam Schefter controversy today or yesterday where...
With the whole Cook thing?
Yeah. Like, it's obviously just Dalvin Cook's agent, like, hey, this is what's coming up. Can you tweet this out? Like, how do you see what the story developed into and then go back and look at Adam Schefter's tweet and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's the correct way to frame it if you're a journalist. It seems like there is such a move from being a journalist to just having that access that people don't really care if there's any, I don't want to say there's no integrity in it because I don't want to go that far, but it's the number one thing is getting the scoop and getting the number one thing. And that's the Woj effect or the Woj effect. I mean, he was tweeting out picks, for ahead of time a few years ago, and ESPN is like, okay, let's get you in here. Let's maybe rein that in a little bit because this is our product and whatnot. But when Damian Lillard wanted to get something off his chest, he went to Chris Haynes of ESPN. You have these agents and these power brokers that talk to these journalists, and it totally manipulates the market. And you have to think that the general managers and team presidents understand this and are looking at what is coming out about Ben Simmons for Jaylen Brown, or, we're not going to trade Ben Simmons except for like a franchise changing piece. And it's going to be 4 years, it could be 4 years, and just be like, you know what? If it's February and you guys are like 10 games above 500, but you're not where you want to be, if you need a 6-man and, a first round pick and to bring you over the hump, you're going to give up Ben Simmons for that because he's not playing.
Right.
He's not going to play for the 76ers again. Like that's just,
No.
they either don't understand or they're just playing coy about
just
it.
like how MB3 is probably not going to play for the Kings again.
Thank God. Thank God. What does he think he's doing?
That might be more embarrassing than what Ben Simmons is doing.
He's closer to playing in the Euro League or somewhere else than he is like starting for a good NBA team. And somehow he and his dad think that the way to go about it is to like badmouth the Kings. Now, look, the Kings aren't a good franchise.
What is this new school last decade, dads involved type thing?
I know.
What? No, seriously.
No,
what,
I know.
What is that? Like, did you ever hear
Zion too?
Did you ever hear about? Well, his family doesn't like this situation for him. That wasn't a thing. What is this?
It's
man?
like an extension of the brand culture where it's like, oh, my personal brand. You have to be in New York or LA or something. And I think both the players and the families bought into that and be like, all right, our family is now a brand. And, you're 20 years old, you're 21 years old, you don't know everything yet. We raised you. We make sure we have some input. Like, I can't imagine, obviously I was a professional athlete, but if I was a 21-year-old college student and like my mom emails my professor, I would self-immolate. I would go move to Bangladesh or something. Like, I can't even imagine like how that would make me feel if my mom or dad would be like, yeah, so I think you should give Alex a B on that paper instead of a C, and we're gonna badmouth you to the Slow Tribune. It's like, what? It's insane.
I don't think it'd be fair to compare professional sports to like a 9-to-5 selling insurance or something like that. But in the work world, the real world, like what if what if like your parent like went to your boss and was like, I don't like this situation for my son. I need a better situation. Like, how are you supposed to take that seriously?
Right. The work would be like, okay, yeah, maybe we should fire them because this is crazy.
This is weird.
It's weird.
This is like, I would fear for my job if somebody reached out to my boss, like from my family,
I know.
being like, you need to put him on the Super Bowl already.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately, and I think that's a trend that's going to continue.
No, it totally is.
It's like the thing now, and it really started with players like requesting trades and like giving teams a list.
Yeah.
Like, requesting a trade has always been a thing. It's more so a thing now than it's ever been. But what is this whole, I want to be traded, and here's who I want to be traded to?
Well, excuse me. I think part of that is NBA teams giving into that. NBA teams saying, okay, you want to be traded, we'll sit you out. We'll like look at the market. It's this whole like commodity, is the whole asset mindset of like, okay, well, if this guy doesn't want to play for us anymore, let's not play him. Let's sit him out and let's try to find a trade. Like, I remember, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe like 5-6 years ago, you started seeing they're working with the player to find a trade partner. And it's like, what? Since when was this like a joint operation? And I think part of that stems from, teams that want to receive the player saying, well, we don't know if he's going to resign with us. We got to make sure he's going to be cool with this. Maybe he can even come in and sign the contract extension right away. So they want to put their feelers out and say, all right, if we trade for you, are we getting for 3 months or 3 years or whatever? So that, is kind of a natural thing. Like, hey, we don't want to give up a bunch of assets for this. But then to like have it morph to, all right, let's involve the player with this process. Which of these 5 teams do you want to go to? And now the player is like, no, I'm going to just do this myself. My agent is like, agents are already talking to teams and be like, hey, MB3 is not happy. He wants to come to San Antonio. If you want to talk to Monty Morris, the Kings GM, let's do something. I don't know. I think it's part of the AAU mindset as well.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of this is mine and everyone else is kind of just like side actors. It's weird, man.
Well, and I got my career started covering high school sports and really high level high school sports down in SoCal, and the popularity around high school sports has just like blown up like crazy in the last 10 years, and it's going to even get crazier. In large part because we kind of get to follow these athletes a little bit earlier, right? We get to follow their story. Like we've been with AD since before he was at Kentucky, and there's been guys that haven't panned out. Like we were with Jahlil Okafor at Oak Hill High School or whatever, Oak Park, whatever, and like he didn't pan out in the NBA. But I'm starting to wonder if maybe we need to tone it down a little bit with giving these young human beings, because that's what they are at the end of the day, these young human beings, all this attention so early in life. Like you and I both know, like it's a lot to deal with when, everybody's just gassing you up and telling you that you're really good at this and you're really good at that. The second you face adversity, if you don't have like the right people in your corner to get your head straight, like that can mess with that. I think Ben Simmons is a perfect example of that. Like Ben Simmons was a prodigy growing up in Australia and coming here to LSU. Like people were comparing him to Shaq. Like, oh, a number 1 prospect going to LSU and then a number 1 pick. He's just like Shaq. Obviously, their games are a little bit different, but
people act like the LSU team did something wrong to him. Like they did some sort of wrong to Ben Simmons of like, oh, they didn't put a good enough team around him. Like he wasn't a part of, like he was his own entity that they should appease and not just be part of the team.
No, and it was all about Ben Simmons. Like we want to show you Ben Simmons.
Well, and it's hard enough for an adult to succeed if you're surrounded by yes men, right? Like,
right.
Adults don't deal with that well. If you're a 15-year-old kid and you're just surrounded by AAU coaches and school coaches and your parents and whatever boosters saying you're the best thing since sliced bread, like, yeah, it's going to develop into not a personality disorder, but it's going to develop into some sort of instance where you don't have a lot of thoughts about how this is affecting other people besides just your bottom line and your brand and whatnot. And I think that's just kind of, I wouldn't say it's a problem, like a pervasive problem. It is kind of an annoying thing with Ben Simmons and MB3. The NBA is in a very healthy place.
No.
But it is, these are weird, transactional things. All right, Chris, let's take one more break. We got 15 minutes left here in the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 and 101.7. Let's talk a little more NBA when we come back. And I do want to get to the UFC. I promised I was going to talk about it because there's a big card. We'll talk about that, talk more NBA, and we'll close up shop for this week. This is the Slow Late Show. Alex Klepper, Chris Sylvester. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Vi sitter här i väntan och spelar lite Dota och springer runt och creepar och motståndet vi slipar. Let's get it on. Vi sitter här i väntan och spelar lite Dota och pushar på och smeker men motståndet vi leker. Vi sitter här i väntan och spelar lite.
Hello, Central Coast. Alex Klepper of the Slow Late Show here to remind you to tune in every Wednesday night from 10 to midnight as Chris Sylvester and myself go through the wonderful world of sports with our own special touch. We talk the usual favorites, of course, but we also talk MMA, soccer, boxing, hockey, maybe even a little wrestling here or there. Who knows? We're going to break down lines, give best bets for the weekend, for entertainment purposes only, of course, talk Cal Poly sports, maybe get hyped for a Kid Cudi song. Oh, and also, our phone lines are open. Join us every Wednesday from 10 to midnight on the Slow Late Show. This is the Mechanics Bank Cal Poly Report on ESPN Radio 1280 and 101.7 FM, your ticket to Cal Poly Athletics. Mustangs football closed out their 2021 road schedule by visiting Big Sky leading Sac State on Saturday, losing to the Hornets 41-9, their 8th consecutive loss following their season opening W. Poly responded to the hosts' 14-0 lead after one with a safety, the Green and Gold's first in 11 years, and a touchdown to cut the deficit to 5, but the Hornets scored the game's final 27 points to end at the final margin. The Mustangs host Idaho State and Northern Arizona the next 2 Saturdays to close out the season. Women's soccer beat Cal State Fullerton 2-0 in Thursday's Big West Tourney semifinal to secure their first championship game appearance since 2009, where they fell to top-seeded UC Irvine 1-0 on Sunday. Sophomore Nikki Trucco led the Mustangs with 10 goals in the season, while junior Brooke Rubenstein had a team-best 8 assists, and freshman goalkeeper Mackenzie Samuel produced 4 clean sheets in 8 games. And men's soccer saw their season end in the Big West Tournament opening round, falling to UC Riverside 1-0 inside Spanos on Wednesday.
At Mechanics Bank, we know that today's good sport is tomorrow's good citizen. We believe the lessons of sports, discipline, teamwork, and respect for others not only make better kids today, but better adults, better citizens, and better communities tomorrow. That's why we're proud to support the Cal Poly Mustangs and youth sports organizations throughout the Central Coast. Stop by any of our local branches or visit us online at mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Now, back to the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
All right, welcome back into the Slow Late Show. Slow heads, late heads. I don't know.
Slow heads. I like the slow heads.
ESPN Radio 1280 AM, 101.7 FM, and twitch.tv/slow late. All right, we talked college basketball, or we just talked a little about college basketball, college football mostly, as we tend to do. NBA, Steph Curry playing out of his mind. Warriors. We had a Warriors Heat finals prediction from our guy Gian. And Gian, he's hit some good ones. He's predicted some things so far.
He has.
So
He called that Dodgers series win over the Giants.
He said the Bulls are good, and the Bulls are good. So
Jimmy'd win the MVP on opening night, and he's in that conversation.
He is. He really is. All right. UFC 268 was this weekend.
It was
in New York, Madison Square Garden. I think the UFC needs to start doing more pay-per-view events outside of Vegas. I feel like the Vegas has got a little stale for them. The crowds in Vegas, they only tend to show up for the last couple of fights. MSG was rocking from 5 o'clock, and the main event didn't start till about 9. Now that it helped that it was a stacked card, people want to get there early. Headlined by 2 title fights, Kamaru Usman retaining his belt against Colby Covington for the welterweight title, and Rose Namajunas winning a split decision to win her rematch against Weili Zhang. But the fight of the night is probably the fight of the year so far. Justin Gaethje over Michael Chandler, just an absolute insane slugfest. Now, Chris, I know you're a growing MMA fan.
Yeah.
You are planted the seed, and it is being nurtured and watered at a rate that is acceptable to build a hopefully budding fanship in the future. I feel like we need to get together and maybe go to your abode and watch a couple of these fights, because this card had a lot of things that I think could generate some new fans. And now the pay-per-view portion, obviously, less people are going on line and finding some streams
online.
Yeah, if you could just go on Google, I'm sure you can find things. You can find a lot of things on Google. But you're not going to see the best fights. So the prelim card is usually how you get the new fans in there, because it's on free ESPN. It was on ESPN News on Saturday because they had college football going. But there was a enormous, not enormous, but he was a very large young man. Chris Barnett, nicknamed Huggy Bear. He's tipping at 260. He won via spinning wheel kick, which you just have to see it. It's a very large man doing a very athletic maneuver. If you don't like that, I don't think MMA is for you. He did a front flipped into a sit afterwards, so that was pretty nice. But Gaethje Chandler is something that you need to watch, and maybe we'll get together and do that. So UFC 268, my review, 2 thumbs way up. This weekend, Max Holloway, the former featherweight champion, facing off against Yair Rodriguez. Max, last time he fought, he dominated Calvin Kattar. I think if he gets one more win, they'll probably put him in the title shot again, which, I mean, he's obviously good enough to do it, but he had lost a couple before that. Yair Rodriguez has not fought since October 2019. So that's over 2 years from now. So we'll see how he does. Should be a fun one. That's about it for that card. Not a lot going on besides the main event. So I'm not sure. I think that's just ESPN Plus. So ESPN Plus. Let's plug that really quick.
Okay, so ESPN Plus is the best thing since,
I don't know, the invention of the wheel.
Yeah.
It's like it.
Well, you remember those days before the wheel, right?
There was a lot of stuff you had to carry in your back. A lot of mule work.
Yeah.
It's every sport. Like every sport is represented. You got college football, tons of college football. You got, I guess maybe NBA is not really a Plus product, but they have it on ESPN. They have, I think, almost every NHL game on ESPN Plus. They have MMA. They have boxing. They have, I think, both La Liga and the German Bundesliga. So soccer heads, you can watch that.
Like you have 50 matches to choose from on Sundays.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You have tons of college basketball. Should have been Cal Poly.
Will be on Friday.
Will be on Friday. Okay.
That's what they're telling me.
Okay. I think they got it together. All right. That's good. No more dueling play-by-play. That was the one-time experiment.
That was fun.
We got a lot of promos in for this show, though. So
we did. We may have exceeded that, but
we had a
for good cause. By the way, we've got some Monday games in the future, so those will be good, right?
Yeah.
Lead ups before we have some Tuesday games this year too.
Yes.
So
we'll contact the ad department and maybe get some guys from Jefferson City talking about in San Luis Obispo.
It's just so tough,
There's a lot of tough names here in the Central Coast that people in Missouri maybe mispronounce.
You know
every
what,
single time.
Do you know what I do before I call a game? If I don't know how to pronounce the name of the city, one, I'm not just won't say it. Two, I look it up because I don't want to sound like that.
Now, And that's probably like
There's
a
a-
one-time thing. That's not like ingrained in an entire, sound bite that it's going to be played over and
No.
over and over again.
No.
And yet, we call it Lompoc, Cambria,
Yeah.
Paso Robles.
Put some respect on the 805.
Come on,
Come on.
seriously.
Come on.
All right. Well, we got ESPN Plus coming
It's
up. so-
jealousy, man. It's jealousy.
yeah, no, they're, like you said
Like,
earlier.
who in their right mind wouldn't want to be here?
I can think of one or two people, but that's about it.
I don't know, man. I mean, you go hike Madonna when it's 70. You got a little bit of a breeze. You look over the city. Mm-hmm. You see the freeways are empty. Come on.
Yeah, it takes about 5 minutes to get to Avila from
Yeah.
from each of our spots.
I'm not
pretty
complaining,
nice.
man.
No.
I mean, unless you really, really need the big towers and the feel of a big city.
Or like snow. No
Yeah.
snow
You
here.
want snow? Drive a few hours.
No
find
snow
some
and slow. Yeah, so there's our UFC. College hoops. Big night last night. I think there was 21 ranked games, and Virginia, the first to lose as a ranked team. Navy. I couldn't believe Navy's first win over a ranked team, not like a top 10 or top 5, first win over a ranked team since David Robinson in 1986.
Really?
That was blew my mind. Like, how can you go that long without beating just one number 23 or something? Anything that stood out from you last night with college hoops?
It was just great to have it back, you know? I mean, we had a bunch of empty venues last year. We started the season late. I mean, this is
Speaking of empty venues,
yeah. No, we need to address that too. We really do. But Chet Holmgren.
oh, did you like the? I don't even remember what I called him. I called him like the. You keep going. I'll look it up.
Chet Holmgren in his
String bean phenom.
D1 debut had 14, 13, 6, and I think he had 5 blocks.
Seven.
Too.
He had 7 blocks.
7 blocks.
That, if you haven't seen Chet Holmgren,
Hey,
go on
are we-
YouTube.
Should we
He's
do it?
7 foot,
Should we-
190.
Should we do the thing? If Gonzaga doesn't win it this year, they might never win it.
I mean,
Like they are.
they're a powerhouse now. Like,
Yeah, but like they just haven't gotten over the hump.
right. Last year
They
didn't win, but they played a Baylor team who has the best player in basketball, in Davion Mitchell. I mean, that's just how things go. Davion Mitchell did not shut down the Spurs tonight, much to my chagrin. But who is the other really high prospect in Gonzaga? We got Drew Timme still, who feel like he's been there for a while now. But I'm just thinking of Chet Holmgren. So Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme, there's not a lot of better front courts in NC2A baskbasketball.
No, I don't think so.
Duke looked good last night. I mean, they had a very fun game against Kentucky. I don't know why I almost completely blanked on the fact that both of those teams were really bad last year. Kentucky was horrible. They were one of the worst teams in the SEC. And yet both of them start with a pretty high ranking. And Mike Krzyzewski, I don't know. I mean, I never really saw much of an aging process with Mike Krzyzewski until last night. I saw him last night. I heard him speak. He sounds like he's getting old. I mean, he is getting old. So I think he probably picked the right time to retire.
Yeah, and something tells me, man, just Duke has just kind of had that magic for so long. I wouldn't be surprised if Duke won it all this year.
Yeah.
Sent him out like that.
Yeah.
It'd kind of be like one of those, oh, of course. Yeah.
I was thinking about that with Bill Belichick. I feel like Bill Belichick is going to win one more before he retires.
Good. Dude, the NFL's kind of wide open this year.
Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs aren't the Chiefs.
No.
Patriots,
I don't
Patriots
have
aren't
a
the Patriots.
huge.
Cardinals have the Cardinals proved to everybody, and this is nothing against Kyler Murray. I'm still really high on Kyler Murray. Have you heard Aqib Talib talking about Kyler Murray?
No.
Sounds like calamari.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube thing on it. It's great. It's great. Aqib Talib has jumped in the
he's
booth,
awesome.
and he's been a
He's
great
awesome.
analyst. He's
Yes.
so good.
Yeah.
But dude, Colt McCoy.
I know, dude. Cliff is showing he's actually a good coach.
If you need to take a decade throwback, tune into the NFL. Like Matt Barkley just got signed by somebody. So,
wow, did not know that one. All right, signing off. Matt Barkley, shouts to you.
Like Panthers.
See you next Wednesday. Good night, Slow.
This has been the Slow Late Show on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. Listen every Wednesday night from 10 to midnight for the freshest takes on the things that you want to hear about.